I'm currently on another Welsh mountain with my good buddy again, the same one who helped me find the Mosquito. And today we're trying to find the remnants of a Lancaster bomber. So if that intrigues you, stick around. Let's see if we can find what's left of the massive British bomber. The Lancaster bomber was designed by Roy Chadwick and his team from Avro. It was an evolution from the twin-engine Manchester bomber, which suffered from poor reliability during missions. The development of the Lancaster was trialled by modifying a Manchester to prove the concept of a four-engined heavy bomber. The Lancaster first officially flew in January 1941, entered production in early 1942, and then entered combat in April of that year. It was powered by four 1,460 horsepower Merlin engines, had a wingspan of 102 feet or 31 metres, and was 69 feet or 21 metres long. Almost all of the 7,377 Lancasters produced during the war were committed to the nighttime strategic bombing of German cities. So after a bit of searching, we finally come across the wreckage of this Lancaster bomber, and I think it took both me and my friend's breath away of how much is actually here. You know, you can see in the shot here there's quite a lot of the wreckage, and you know, compare it to the Mosquito that I visited earlier, you know, size of the aircraft, it kind of makes sense. You know, Lancaster bombers are absolutely massive. So what I wanted to dive into today is obviously kind of give you guys some details about the crash and how it happened. So it was the 6th of February 1945, and this was Lancaster NE 132 of number 1653 heavy conversion unit, and it was on a cross-country night navigation exercise from RAF North Luffenham, which again, a bit like the Mosquito, again it was flying cross-country when that accident happened. The weather forecast for the final part of the route had the possibility of cloud, therefore the crew were told to try and avoid weather where possible. Obviously in a Lancaster, that's a bit more difficult than a Mosquito. It's not as manoeuvrable, you know, compared to that aircraft, so for them to navigate the weather was always going to be a bit more difficult. So from the accident investigation here that took place here 80 years ago, that concluded that the aircraft had entered a storm cloud, and that then it had entered a dive, which then put huge stresses on the airframe, causing it to break up, which, you know, if you've seen a Lancaster bomber, you know how big they are. So for something to cause that to break apart, it must have been an immense amount of force. So this crash was reported to RAF Llanbeda, which is near Harlech, which is where we are, and Harlech's literally just over towards that way. And that was reported at 02:28 AM by a corporal from the RAF police. Now, so this is early hours of the morning, obviously it's still dark in February, you know, the bleak midwinter, as the saying goes. So this wreckage was only found at 10 AM, and that's quite a long time. And, you know, looking at the terrain and what me and my friend have hiked through, it's, you know, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, really, here. And as we were searching up above there, I came across pieces of wreckage, which is insane. And this kind of backs up the fact that I found that the debris was found up to 3 miles from this site, which again goes back to the amount of force that was put through the aircraft and the airframe. That makes sense. And you know, what must it have sounded like when people had heard it going overhead? I know we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, but you know, Harlech only being a stone's throw over that way, people probably did hear it. And such was the force of the impact, the bodies of 2 crew members, Flight Officer Evans and Rear Gunner Sergeant Gash, were never found, unfortunately, but they are both commemorated on the Runnymede Memorial, which obviously an unfortunate thing to happen, that their bodies couldn't be found, but it's nice that obviously they're still remembered, they're not forgotten. But in terms of trying to find the airmen, search parties were sent out each day until the 15th of February to try and locate as much of the aircraft as possible to aid in the investigation of the crash. Obviously, the more impact, the more material they have to go off, you know, the better they can get an idea of what happened, and put the pieces together, really. And also, on the subject of crash remains, there is a really amazing exhibit at the Overloon Museum in the Netherlands, where they have kind of laid out remnants of a Lancaster. And I'd highly recommend, if you search up videos, I think the History Underground did a video, or if you're in the Netherlands, go and visit it yourself, because it really gives you a sense of, even just watching them through a video, you get a sense of how big these aircraft were. And yeah, it's, again, just been really nice. It's a beautiful part of the world to come and visit and hike through, and to see a Lancaster bomber, well, you know, unfortunately what is left of a Lancaster bomber, one of my favourite aircraft, is always nice. And this one seems a bit more solemn than the Mosquito, I think, because there's more left, maybe, I don't know, there's just a different feeling here. I can't put my finger on why, but it's I'm glad that we found it. It's amazing to see, and I'm glad we can come and pay our respects, and for me to introduce this site to all of you lovely people as well. So yeah, I've just come down from where I found most of the wreckage, and there's just wreckage littered absolutely everywhere, all the way down into towards where the wall goes, and I think there's part of the propeller from the Merlin engine. So let's go see if we can check that bit out. So just hopped over some rocks, but like a mountain goat, and come across this, which I am 99% sure to me looks like one of the propeller assembly parts from one of the 4 Merlin engines. And I know it's the remnants, but this is the closest I've ever been to, you know, a Merlin engine that was used in the war, which is kind of special, I think. Still a bit sad, but special to see part of a Merlin engine up close. So we've just come further down, we're right down the bottom now of the crash site, and there's quite a large collection of the air skin of the aircraft, and you can still see some of the paint on it, which is absolutely incredible to see. And some bits are actually still a bit shiny as well, which you think after 8 years, you know, that'd rust away, but obviously depending on what material that is, you know, depends how time will affect it. But to see the paint on it still is incredible. Yeah. So just up above the crash site is located this plaque, and it's a really nice touch. So as you can see there, you've got all of the names of the men who were involved in the crash. Unfortunately, it has their positions of what job they were allocated on the Lancaster. You can see there 2 of the names, David Henry Roberts Evans and Sergeant Arthur David Gash, the 2 men who were, unfortunately, their bodies unable to be found. You can also see there's it's a mixture of RAF personnel and RAAF as well, so RAF and Royal Australian Air Force as well. And it's just a really nice touch that this is here to commemorate the men. And you can see at the bottom there just the Royal Air Corps logo or crest as well, which is a really nice touch, in the Welsh writing in the background as well. Obviously this crash taking place again in North Wales, a very dangerous place for aircraft, it seems. And as well, just below the plaque is some Lest We Forget crosses, which is a really nice touch from other people who have visited this site. So yes, a very nice little touch here on the crash site. I hope you enjoyed that little look through this Lancaster crash here in North Wales again. If you did enjoy, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss more of this sort of stuff. Like I always say, plenty more to come, varied topics, loads in the pipeline. So yes, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out my latest video where I visited the gunnery site in Llandudno, check that out here. And yes, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.